Hello everyone, this is Ness. I think this is the first time I'm talking on my channel. But anyway, so today I would like to show you guys how I usually record for my collabs. Mainly it's for my friend, but I think it'd be also useful for anyone joining my future collabs on how I usually record or basically how I prefer things to be recorded. So in recording, of course, there's the setup part, which is a very important part of your recording session. But if I'm gonna talk about that, then it'll take way too long. That might need another video. Okay, so basically to record, of course, first of all, you need a DAW or a digital audio workspace. It can actually be anything. It can be Adobe Audition, like what I use, or it can also be Audacity, which I think is what most people use. But also if you don't have a laptop, then you can use BandLab. That's also an application. Or for Mac users, GarageBand. Anything works. The tips that I'm going to show you is basically the same, and you can apply it to any kind of digital audio workspace that you use. Of course, some of the functions may be different, but essentially it'll be the same. Okay, so let's start. So first of all, I would load up Adobe Audition. I'll create a multi-track session, and then I'll name my session. Currently I'm recording for my La Chata collab. So once you have this open, then I'm gonna load up my MP3. So this is my collab document where I tell people a lot of stuff. Okay, as you can see here, solo, doubles, high harmonies, mid, low harmonies, whispers, etc. Okay, so usually I would give people a specific MP3 to record to, so that when they record and when they time it to the MP3, it'll make my life a whole lot easier. Like literally, I can just load them in, and all I need to do is find time, which makes my job much easier. Okay, so I'm gonna let it load, and this is how it will look like. So you can see, and I'm gonna make sure it's to the end. Okay, then I'm gonna name my tracks because I'm lawfully good like that. Okay, I'm gonna name this MP3. If the song has a ton of harmonies that I can't figure out just by listening to the MP3, I would also download the hidden vocals version if there is. If there's not, then I'll just have to depend on the MP3 or make one myself. So what I do is I'd usually load them up as well, put them down, and then I'll match the audio waves to the MP3. Okay, so that it'll have the same beat, it'll have the same timing. So next, this is what I personally do. You don't have to do it, but it helps me organize my mind a whole lot better. So I would usually name. I would usually name my tracks. So solo, I usually do it in 2 because I usually take multiple takes. So solo 1 and solo 2. If there's any overlaps, I would definitely sing them in different takes. I can't speak today, oh my god. Basically, I name them according to what I will need to record. So for alls, it's this is really dependent on the mixer. Some mixers like me, I prefer to have a different alls file, but some mixers prefer to have them in one track so that they have less tracks to deal with. After I have labeled them all together, I would reduce the MP3. So you can't see me, but I currently have headphones on my right ear and the side is flipped to the back on my left ear. So when you're singing or when you're recording, you want to hear to the MP3 so that you will be on tempo with the MP3 or with the original song. Or you can either do it with an MP3 or with an instrumental. Depends on you. Definitely depends on you completely. And then you need to have one ear exposed so that you can actually hear yourself singing, because if not, you won't be able to, control your voice, right? Okay, so some people, they prefer to record in mono, and I prefer to record in stereo. So on Adobe Audition, you can go to Edit, Preferences, Audio Hardware first. So this is what I use, right? Scarlett 2i2, and I use a Bluetooth headphone to record. But I feel that earphones are the best. I do have some latency, which I really don't mind. but some people do mind that, and if you do, then you can just reduce them up to 30. So what is latency? Latency is when you record, there'll be a bit of a delay after you record. Like it's supposed to be on this time, but then it's delayed. In my condition, it would delay for about 200 milliseconds. Okay, but honestly, I don't think this bothers me. It bothers some people because they have to retime everything, but I'll retime everything anyways, so I don't really mind. Okay, just want to show you guys. Okay. Okay, so yeah, then now we're all ready and set to go, and I'll just need to select R on for record, and then you can hear the meter going on. Okay, so now I'm gonna record. Yay. Okay, so I'm gonna just hear the music first. Love FX. Oh my god, stan FX, guys, even though they're like inactive. So I'm recording as Luna for this collab. I have my collab sheet open, so once I hit the record button here, I'll just click on my browser and then it'll lead me to this. Some people would use their phones or like external devices to read the lyrics, but if you remember the lyrics, then it's definitely much better. I kind of do remember the lyrics, so okay. So first of all, I will just play along, even though I do know the song. Okay, so when I play along the song, I will also listen to the details of how they sing. Okay, for example, the small raise in intonation, or just is it soft, is it punchy? These are all the things that you'll need to consider when you start recording. 이 소리 들려, yeah, 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 yeah. The mot is like mot. There's a slight vibrato at the end, so just analyze your parts, then you can know how to sing them better. Okay, so once I figured out the part, okay, so sometimes I would break these parts. For example, I think Isori 들려요, I'll need to sing that in one part, but I may need to break them up. Depends on how the takes go. After I practiced a few times, I'll record. 이 소리 들려, 여기 멋진 승려 신사분들 넘쳐. So I don't think I like the but here, let's listen to it. 이 소리 들려, 여기 멋진 승려 신사분들 넘쳐. Okay, so I don't like that. I don't like that take at all. Okay, so this is like my preference, but honestly, I think if my first take is already really good, I'll just take it. But if I think that it's not as good, I'll definitely take another take. And if I think my one take is like, it's okay, but I think I can do better, I'll save that take, and then I'll take another, and then I'll compare. That's how you do. I mean, that's how you get the best quality, definitely. And then always take a lot of takes, because you want the best, only the best. Okay, so I'm gonna meet you guys again later after I finish recording the entire thing, and then we'll go through the next phase of recording, which is timing. Okay, see you guys in a bit, because I'm a bit shy to sing on camera. Okay, so hi guys, I'm back. So I haven't exactly recorded the entire thing yet. It usually takes me about half an hour if I don't have a lot of lines. But I mean, it usually takes about half an hour to like literally 10 minutes if I don't have a lot of lines and there's no background vocals at all. But songs that has a lot of parts for me to sing, including alls, as well as a lot of harmonies, a lot of background vocals, and definitely because this is my own collab, I would usually record after everyone has sent in their parts, so that when I hear, then I can tell, oh, okay, this person didn't record this part or can't record this part. Then I'll record it for them, and then I'll just fill in the gaps wherever it's missing. Okay, so I usually don't record like this first, but everyone has sent in their lines, so yeah. Anyway, so now I'm gonna show you how to rearrange or arrange back your part. So I'm gonna show you two things. In first, how you comp. Comping is what you call for when you take multiple takes of the song, but you only want to use a certain part of the song. Okay, I'll give you a good example for this, which I recorded for Luna Solo here. Okay, so in here, so we'll hear my first take. Okay, so I don't like the cha. The cha sounds like I'm out of breath, so I don't like that. Only perfection in this building. And then I also don't like the mot here. It's like the mot, you know? I want it to be more poppy, so I did a double take. Okay, so this is my second take. Or third or fifth, wherever. So this cha was not bad, but not the best. I had a better take. But I don't like the yaw here, right? But I like the yaw up there. So basically just take up my favorite parts of the song. I like this yaw. I don't like this mot. Cut it. Okay, I'm gonna cut. And then I'm gonna take the parts where I like. Okay, by right, you should do this first. You should align them first, and then you can just cut and just bring it up. So I'm bringing this up. Yeah, that doesn't sound natural because it's not timed accordingly. Okay, so here's the thing. When you comp parts, sometimes there'll be empty spaces in between, and when you play them, there's a tick because you cut that part out suddenly. So one way you can do is you can either lower the volume here, but then that sounds awkward, right? So yeah, so you can do this if it's like a breath or something, like when they stop to take a breath, then you can do this. But if not, usually what I'd like to do is just like, like let them overlap a bit, but they shouldn't overlap over the words, because if not, then the sound will sound, the recording will sound doubled. Do that again. You may notice some subtle differences. So it's mostly, I think it's because of the volume, because suddenly this is like quite loud, but this is like quite not so loud. So I'm just going to increase that in volume. Basically, whatever sounds natural to you, honestly. But this part is going to be okay anyway, because it'll be, the namcha is going to be backed up with a lot of harmonies, so really not a problem. Okay, and then, so for this part, I have a double. And this is how I time doubles. I don't time my doubles to the music, but instead I time them to my lines. Okay? So like this. So now it's the same. Right, it's the same. Yeah, so I can hear it going. Okay, and then I'm also gonna show you, this is exactly how I time my harmonies. Okay, so I'm gonna solo them. I mean, or I could just mute the MP3, but whatever. Okay, so if you notice, the num is too early. I'm sorry, the num is too late, and cha is a bit too early. So I'm gonna adjust that like this. Again, match them to the waves. If you need, then on Audition, you can use this feature. It's called time stretch. Okay, you can click this, toggle global clip stretching, which will essentially make your clips. Yeah, but a lot of the times they don't really sound exactly great. Okay, so this is purely for display only. Because I'm gonna check whether the harmonies are correct or not later when I pitch correct stuff. I'm not the best at harmonies, so please don't attack me. Okay, so when you hear your solos in acapella, you should do this before you submit any kind of lines. Hear them again. Check whether they're within the same beat as the instrumental, which as I've already shown, you can tell if it's according to these timestamps. Yeah, so when it slows, it's the same here, and then when it's big, then it's the same here, and then it changes waves. Like, you can basically tell visually, and you can also hear through your earphones. Of course, sometimes it may look the same visually, but through your ears, it doesn't really sound correct. Always trust your ears, no matter. So visually, it helps as a base, but of course, at the end, trust your ears. Okay, so the next thing I'm gonna show you guys is overlaps. So for La Chata specifically, I haven't recorded the chorus harmonies yet. But okay, let's hear them. So I'm just gonna time them first. Okay, so I'm done timing. So basically, in La Chata here, the chorus, la la iroki cha cha taro al shinandagoya. Okay, and then the la cha ta, if you hear closely, there is they kind of suspend the note a bit at the end. So la cha ta ta, and then end. So for this then obviously there's an overlap. So when you record things that has overlap for a collab, if it's not, like for example here, it's not really very far, it doesn't overlap anywhere here, so it's okay if you want to export it in the same file, but you can see here it overlaps. Okay, so one important rule when you record and export: no overlaps. Do not overlap any parts. Mainly this is because, like, for example, even if you timed everything accordingly, you think it's right, But when it reaches the mixer, then suddenly it's not. A few parts are off time, or maybe something you did during the export makes the times off time. Makes the recordings off time. So you do not want to send any kind of overlaps in your recordings, okay? Just don't do it. Do not do it unless the mixer tells you to, okay? So yeah, there's that one thing. And then another thing, so when you record, then you can either, if the mixer wants less files, then you can just put these overlaps into one of your solo files, and you can just label them as such. So you can just label them as solo plus all overlaps. So then the mixer would definitely know that this file is overlapping, and they will know how to drag them to a different track, right? So labeling is of course very important also. And then another thing, so I noticed that sometimes when people send in their files, they would either use a noise gate. Basically, a noise gate, it sets out a threshold, which is like the limit for sound to pass off. And if the sound is not loud enough, then it will pass the noise, so you can't hear the noise. Okay, I hate noise gates so much because they don't allow my recordings to be crystal clean. I want clean recordings. I don't want recordings with like a slight at the back. I really hate that, because then and then some people do send their files in like that, and it's really hard for me to remove the noises. I have to find like a certain spot where they're not they're not saying anything, not taking a breath, not doing anything, and just the noise, which I call it as a noise sample. And then I can do it. So I'll show you how I usually remove noises. So for example, okay, so you can hear this is part where I take a breath. You do not want to take that in as a sample, because if you take that in, it'll kind of like take away the breathiness of your voice. It takes away the clarity of your voice, so you just want a pure just your audio. Okay, so this level of noise is definitely acceptable. If your noise is about as big of a wave amplitude as your voice, you might want to redo your recordings, because it will most likely destroy the quality of your recordings. So in Adobe Audition, I'll click Control-Shift-P, or I can go to Effect, Noise Reduction Process. Okay, then I click Capture Noise Print. Okay, so here I get this noise print. Now I play it again. Almost no noise at all. If I take in enough material. With enough noise samples, I can most likely be able to remove completely the noise from the recording, and I can just hear the recording itself. So why is this important? This is important because when I mix and then I compress the files, compression will essentially make certain parts louder and the peaks smaller. So it will also make your background noise more obvious. So sometimes during the mix, I can hear the noise with the instrumental, which I definitely hate. Okay, I don't want to hear noises with the instrumental. I just want to hear your beautiful voices with the instrumental. Okay, okay, so that's on noise. However, and then when I usually mention leave in adequate noise samples, because sometimes when people send in their recordings, they would usually cut them off like this. So literally only starts when they take a breath, and then ends immediately. So please don't do that. Please leave at least a few seconds before you start and a few seconds after. Reasons are likely some people, they cut off too early, and then the recording sounds cut off. It's not natural. So for example, let me solo this. Okay, so let's say if I cut this a bit too early. So that's so sudden and abrupt. So I don't like that. It will make your recording sound weird. Okay, so yeah. Okay, so in terms of noise removal, some mixers prefer you remove the noise themselves. I personally don't, because sometimes people don't remove them adequately, or they use a noise gate, which I mentioned before. Irritates me as heck, because I need to like really, really scroll in and find the noise, or sometimes they send in their recordings, but then they cut them off too early. So literally all I can hear are the noise with their vocals, and I can't remove them, and that's very frustrating. Then I'll have to PM them again and ask for some noise samples, etc., etc., which it's extra work. So just don't cut off. I'll do it for you, don't worry about it. Importantly, for every mixer it's different. Some mixers prefer you remove it so that they won't have extra, they won't have anything extra to do, right? Okay, so another thing is that when there are repeating parts of the song, so this is also by preference. Some mixers prefer to for you to copy and paste every single little thing, even if it's repeating. So it's either you do a different take or you just copy paste whatever you have recorded. So for me, I will personally ask everyone to not copy paste anything. So they can just record something that is the same for one take, and then I'll just use that take and copy paste them after I've done everything. So let's say in this collab, okay, you can see that this part, Lala Irokicha until here, basically it's a repeating part, the same one with this one, right? However, here they sing Momdo Taraga and then Nomu Shipchi Naril Chowa Baby. But here they sing Sumdo Tara Sho Nomu Shipchi Naril Tara Baby. So here, I will need you to record just Sumdo Tara Sho and Nomu Shipchi Naril Tara Baby. And you won't have to record Lala Irokicha Tatarua until Noreru Tara, because it's literally the same, and I will just cut it out if you do. But to me, cutting it out is like extra work, so better not send in any at all, Reasons are, when I time, so this is an alls part, right? So when I time alls, and I'll probably show you in my mixing video later. So when I time alls, I will have to time each syllable per syllable. Much like what I do with the doubles, much like what I do with the harmonies. See, I cut off the nom syllable and then the cha syllable to match up with the audio above so that they sound aligned, because sometimes when we sing in different, there's like variations in rhythm, but with doubles and harmonies, you want them to be the same, okay? You want them to be aligned, you want them to be timed, especially harmonies, so that they are clean, so it'll be super clean sounding. So for stuff that is repeated, and then it's alls, and then let's say there's about 4 people, it's a chorus, then I'll have to, time each syllable with everyone so that everyone sings in perfect harmony. And then after that, I won't just need to time, I will also need to tune them. So I'll tune them into key, and I don't want to tune the same thing like 4 different times when I can just tune it one time and copy and paste. That makes my life so much easier. So that's my personal preference, definitely, because I do that. So now that you have finished recording and you have timed your parts accordingly, you want to just take a last listen to what you've recorded and make sure they're in tune, make sure they're good, make sure they're energetic, they're according to what the music would. You would fit to the music. It'll be better if you can, just put your voice and then put the instrumental at the back, and then you can hear what you sound with the instrumental, so that, if you sound bad, then you wouldn't be in shock when the collab comes out. Okay. Another thing is, when you record, you want to make sure that you don't have a lot of echoes. For example, my room is very echoey, so when I talk to you guys, I don't really take particular notice to remove much of these echoes, but when I record for singing, I will make sure that there's not much echoes. Okay, so for example, you can hear from here. So you can hear that it's a very compact sound. Very, you don't hear any extra reverb, natural reverb, no echo. So, if the voice is muffled, I can still EQ them. But if the voice has so much echo, so much natural reverb. It will just, ruin your audio file's quality. And I pretty much can't do anything about it. I just have to bear with it because it's almost impossible to remove reverb and echo. If you sound muffled, then I can still EQ it a little bit to make you not so muffled and you will sound a little bit better, But if it's reverb, babe, I can't do anything about it. So sorry. Final things, exporting, okay? So for example, I don't know how you export in Audacity, but I think some people export it like this. So they only export from the part where they start until the end, which is not good, okay? Not good, guys. Don't do this. Do not do this. You should export from the start, like even before you start recording, to the end of this. Something like this. And then like maybe provide a little bit of space. So your parts will be in time. And then when the mixer loads them in, it's basically, aligned. They don't really have to do a lot. And then if you already fine timed your parts, they really don't have to do much about on timing and they can focus on other stuff because there's a whole lot of stuff to do when mixing, Okay. So yeah, just make sure you export it like this. If you want to export for the whole file, that's okay too, up to you, but I prefer it to be like this. Export a multi-track session, multi-track mixdown, and time selection. Okay, so and then you name your parts, choose your file location and whatever, and then format. So okay, some people like to ask for WAV files because they preserve the quality, but I personally record for a lot of collabs. Unless the mixer asks for it specifically, then I'll give them in WAV. But if not, I'll just change them I'll just give them MP3 because, it really saves my space, which there's not a lot. And then I'll also, this is very important, okay? Label your files, very important. So I usually like to label my files as such. So this song is Lachata. The name of the part that I'm doing, so Luna. And then this is her solo file. Let's see, solo 1, which I am soloing, only this part. Solo. Okay, and then click OK, and then it'll export. I'm obviously not going to export here because I'm going to use this for my own collab. Make sure when you export, no overlap. So for example, I almost overlapped here because I didn't notice. Okay. So when you export, make sure there are no other overlaps. In Adobe Audition, you can just turn off the solo track like this so that you're sure that no other tracks are soloed. Then you can click this and then you can freely export. Turn it off, then turn another track on again, and then you can just export this part. Okay? So yeah, you need to make sure that there are absolutely no overlaps because like I said, especially in harmonies, in alls, and in doubles, we need them separated. If not, we won't be able to time them accordingly. If not, we won't be able to, perfect things up. And I'm kind of a perfectionist when doing stuff. So I guess that's it, guys. Thank you for tuning in, turning in, and seeing this video. I hope you learned something new. But yeah, this is basically how I prefer. I'll see whether you guys want me to do. I would probably do my setup video. Like I can explain to you what kind of hardware I use, what kind of setup I use, how do I record in terms of like my recording space and all. I'll maybe do that video, as well as I'm also planning a mixing video where I basically show you guys how I mix my collabs. Because I think there's a lot of how to mix your covers, and then they all show you how to mix your parts in solo. Like, yeah, solo mixing is easy, but I mean, not easy lah, but it's easier because there's literally only yourself to think about. But I'll show you guys how to mix when you have to consider other people as well. Because I don't think there's a lot of videos explaining how do you mix a collab, So I'll show you guys that later when I'm a bit more free and I've completed all my mixes. Yeah, because I think that'll definitely be useful to a lot of people. Okay, so that's it, guys. Thank you. Like this video. Like this video if you would, and subscribe. I'm almost to my 100 subscriber, guys. I need 9 more subscribers to reach 100. Then I can request my custom channel URL name. So, guys, subscribe if you haven't. Okay. Thank you, guys. Love you. Oh, I hope you learned something from this.